right, who is excited about this being the last lecture? We are finally on development lecture number 5. And this is actually just one slide, so it should be pretty quick. But this is neither a development theory nor is it a dependency theory. Instead, this is actually the idea that you are going to have a path that is created as soon as dependence or some sort of development really begins. As soon as you have kind of chosen that path as an environment, a lot of times you will have this path dependency that occurs. Let me kind of explain. The idea is that present day activities in an area are going to be linked to a past experience at that place. There's the idea that an area will have an initial advantage. The early start of some sort of industry in economic development. So a good example of this is actually going to be Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is actually going to be in Northern California, right outside San Francisco. San Jose, California is a great example. This is where you're going to have a lot of your .com businesses of the 2000s. Additionally, you're going to have the Oracles, the Googles, all of these network databases where they're going to develop. And as they develop, they are going to have the initial advantage, which means San Jose will be, because of the natural presence of silicon in the area, and silicon is actually going to be created for to make computer chips, they are going to start those technologically advanced businesses in that area. After they start that, you are going to have a geographical path dependence that occurs. For example, from that point on, your economic development will really offer some sort of pull factor for people that are working in technology. So for example, you are going to have people that will automatically, if they're going into some sort of computer training or internet sales or internet networking and programming, etc., a likelihood of them going to Silicon Valley in the 2000s, 1990s, late 1990s, 2000s, was very good. It was not one of those things where you talk to a graduate from MIT and they said, yeah, I'm going to take my degree and I'm hoping to start an internet database. Oh, something like Google or Yahoo or some sort of network database like PowerSchool. And I'm going to make a buttload of money off of it. However, I'm actually going to move to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because I like the weather there. The likelihood of that happening is not very good, simply because as that person moved to Milwaukee, they would find out there are no jobs in that market within the Milwaukee area. So instead, you're going to have this pull factor to, say, Silicon Valley. Additionally, if you are developing your own company, you would likely want to put yourself where your competitors are, which sounds a little bit silly. But at the same time, you already have the external economies that are already in that area. For example, that labor market, the very specialized labor force, if you are starting your own company, you may not be well known enough, you may not be wealthy enough to really attract the best workers. However, if you position yourself near businesses that are similar to yours, so say for example Silicon Valley, if you put your business right next door to these large .com database, networking types of businesses, there are going to be a lot of probably college graduates looking for jobs who are in that industry, have degrees in that industry, looking for experience in that industry, that will be moving to that area. It would not be smart for you to take your company away from that area simply because you already have the highly skilled, trained, educated workforce there. Additionally, consumer markets know exactly where to go for those products. So for example, a hospital is opening up and they need a new database, software. Okay, if they are thinking technological, software, networking, programming, Silicon Valley is going to come to mind, and therefore that's exactly where they're going to look. Additionally, social capital. Social capital is the idea that as you start to make money in that area, you are going to have cost savings. And that cost savings is sort of that localization of the economy. For example, in your business, perhaps silicon chips, okay, for computer chips, need to be fairly cheap. Well, potentially, you could actually put yourself just right next door to, a computer chip printing company or creation. I don't know. They don't print those. Production site. Additionally, you may actually team up with some sort of technical school to give students internships, or perhaps to bring in these interns and these MIT graduates and really hook them up with jobs immediately. So you're going to have that cost savings. This is going to form that basis of continued growth, and from that point on, people are likely in that same technological sort of industry going to locate in that area. An initial advantage is really going to have persistent growth. It's going to reinforce that core periphery pattern. And what that means is, because Silicon Valley is already set up as sort of the most technologically advanced area in the world at the time, you are not going to see little Silicon Valleys, little recreations of these technologically successful businesses opening in, say, India or in Saudi Arabia or in Bolivia, simply because they have already been, they've already exploited that initial advantage. Everybody knows where to go in order to get those products. Another good example would be a recording company in LA. We'll say, for example, that Joe decides that he's going to be a country western singer. And so what he decides to do is actually he's going to decide to become this developed singer. Okay, he's going to go out, he's going to develop his western country. Sorry, I got distracted. Greg, the custodian, asked me what I was doing talking to myself. I should probably ask him who he's singing to, but I'm not going to. The areas with initial advantage, like I said, okay, you are not going to send Joe, for example, if he comes into our classroom tomorrow and he says, I'm going to start a country music career. And everybody says, oh, cool, Joe, that's awesome. Okay, you sound great. Where are you going to move to? Where are you going to go? And he says, no, I'm going to stay right here in Kansas City. There's a likelihood that Kansas City does not have the initial advantage when it comes to recording country music stars. In all actuality, most of us would agree that we should probably send him on his way to Nashville. Likewise, somebody that decides they want to be a big time production, maybe they are actually involved in the recording of an artist. Hey, I'm going to open up my own recording studio. Opening up your own recording studio in Kansas City, unless you already have the talent sort of pinned down, you're probably not going to benefit from that. Instead, it would be more valuable for you to put yourself in an area where you already know people are going to be seeking out recording companies. In a way, you're already looking at your consumer market. A good example with that would be likely LA, maybe New York City, etc. If you have questions about this, let me know. But really, the idea is if one place starts out with that initial advantage, it's likely that they will be the only ones to profit from that idea, and other places will have to create their own initial advantage to compete.